What are, in fact, the implications of the sorts of calls for suspension of arms? Well, I think there are significant political and diplomatic ramifications, and we have seen only 2 weekends ago an unprecedented direct attack by Iran on Israel, which many have, I think, correctly suggested has been as a response to the sort of encouragement that Iran has taken from the rhetoric. It was referenced earlier from the United States. It has also in part been coming out of the United Kingdom vis-à-vis the application of international law in Israel's continued operation in Gaza. That has very real consequences for how emboldened Iran has felt. When we bear in mind that its operations so far have been through its proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and also from proxies in Syria and Iraq, the significant development that we saw of a direct strike against Israel in that fashion is very relevant, and the consequences of the sort of uninformed, unfortunately, debate and calls for suspension of arms, despite those criteria having on no account been met, have very dangerous consequences, I would suggest, also for the UK as a result also.
Okay, thank you. May I just respond to that?
Yes.
I mean, it seems to me a rather strange argument to make that Iran decided to attack Israel because of arguments made in the US and UK about potential suspension of arms sales. I think a much more likely reason that Iran attacked Israel was because Israel attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus and killed 13 people in the Iranian consulate in Damascus. If it hadn't done that, I don't think Iran would have attacked Israel.
Well, I think it's very...
I didn't want to start a political argument. I was going to talk about trade.
I do appreciate that, but the committee has just been told something that I'm afraid is untrue.
The committee is perfectly capable of making judgments about the evidence that we receive.
I'm just perplexed ever so slightly with Ms Hausdorff's contribution this morning. She said there's been a raft of false information, there's been extreme inaccuracies, there's been mixed premise, there's been misinformation, there's been false information, there's been factually incorrect information, there's been untrue information, and there's been information given on a false premise. And I think that's just a smattering of what's being said this morning. Might she give this committee some advice on who would be best to give non-partisan, authoritative, inaccurate voices on this issue?
Well, the detailed response document that I've submitted to the committee goes through on the basis of open source information, dealing with the inaccuracies that have been presented in the open correspondence to the Prime Minister, referred to as the Gaza letters, and I would refer the committee to that analysis. Other than that, of course, it is the government, the executive, that is in the best position to draw these conclusions on the basis of the advice that it has been given, because, as we have previously addressed, of the information that is provided, to it. And that is, in this instance, provided by Israel directly,